anything that you are putting into Chat GPT, Claude, all of those different things, unless you know there are controls there to keep it from being shared, you should just assume that it is being shared.
What is the thing that you need to know most about keeping secure with your AI? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a HerCsuite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I have the amazing opportunity to talk with speakers and guests who share information that help you with the arc of your career and your life. And today's guest is going to really give you insights that you can use right away. I'm also the founder of HerCsuite, a portfolio career company where we help women in the second half of your careers be in demand, stay relevant, and build what's next with boards, your business, and a portfolio career. And the most recent thing we launched is NEXT2LEAD AI with Tina Lampe. She was our first speaker for NEXT2LEAD AI, and it was such a great program about AI and cybersecurity that I couldn't wait to bring her on the show today. You're going to hear all about the things that you should be thinking about and doing to keep your business and personal life secure. So let's get started now. Tina, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I can't wait for this conversation because I already got to meet with you and talk to you, and you were our kickoff keynote speaker for NEXT2LEAD AI. But for the listeners who don't know all those amazing things, talk to us a little bit about how you got into this field and what it is that you're so passionate about it. I can't wait for them to hear your journey.
So my background out of college was in software development. So I've been in the technology space my whole career. When I got to the last couple of years, the last 5 years, I decided I wanted to go back and get my master's. And so I got my master's in cybersecurity. And then AI came along and really kind of blew up. And I am really interested in this space because I feel like it is the perfect complement as to what my career has been in technology. Cybersecurity is so important in the AI space. Yeah, it just kind of brings everything together. I'm also very passionate about it because I believe that there's so much goodness that can come out of AI and what AI can do for society as a whole, but it can also do a lot of bad stuff. And that's kind of where my responsible AI hat comes from. I'm a U.S. ambassador for the Global Council of Responsible AI, really trying to promote all the goodness of AI, but using it in a responsible manner.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I did have a personal experience with one of the AI tools, which we'll get to, but I want to talk about this idea of AI security, cybersecurity, and how it does fit so well together. Because before, cybersecurity was protecting businesses, which makes sense. But now you layer in the AI and it is this whole new layer. And I just heard Gartner, I think, just had a thing about not putting Comet and Atlas, which are two search engines, on your sidebar, that it's actually, extracting information you don't know that it's doing. So I immediately deleted it from my sidebar. But these are things we just don't know. So how does one even keep up with this?
So your browser is a very risky area still at this point. There's cross-pollination that can happen even between, as you've seen with Atlas, et cetera, in different tools that you use. I try to be very cautious. I try to keep my work stuff very clean, and I do all of my personal stuff. And if I'm doing AI work, I do that more on my personal computer so that the access to the sensitive data that I deal with at work is not exposed, even accidentally. We have specific AI tools that are approved for use at my company. So they try to keep a very tight lid on things that the employees can do with AI.
And I can only imagine that exponentially, you're at a company that's really large and you're acting very cautiously. But I think there's a lot of people that don't even think about it and they're on their phone and the apps are on our phones. So you ask ChatGPT, hey, I've got to go into this meeting and I have this conversation. And what do you think about it? Well, right there, if you don't have all the settings to not share that out, that does get shared out. I think people don't understand how vulnerable those conversations are because you think you're just having a one-on-one, or if you're using the voice command and it feels like you're just talking to your AI agent and it's so nice, depending on the voice you use. But, that conversation, if you're not careful, is available. And I feel like you shared something recently about that it's discoverable. So let's talk about that because I don't think people realize, just like our notebooks in the old day, I'm a note taker, but those are all discoverable depending on, the litigation. But so is chat. What does that look like?
All of your note takers and your meetings are discoverable. People have to realize that. Yes, it is so easy to transcribe and, record and all of that, but it is all discoverable.
I have a board and I didn't realize that you can't use it. You're not supposed to use it. So at first, we're a small board. It was like, oh, let's just turn on the, Zoom, Zoom note taker. And then my co-founder of the board program, Naomi Kent, she said, no, you're not supposed to do that. And I hadn't even thought of that. Not that anything we're talking about is, so important, but you do not want that as something that is out, especially for boards. But I think people aren't realizing it. They're not thinking of it in that lens. What advice do you give to leaders? How should they be thinking about this in a different way?
There's different ways that you can configure your AI. There's enterprise AI. You can pay more for, things like Chat GPT and make it local to your company. You just need to go out with that lens, right? What happens with new technology is the technology blows up and then the governance and security kind of follow along. But it's good to just have that baseline. If you have baseline cybersecurity governance and all of that, kind of expand that to your AI area. With AI, it's very important to make sure that your data is secure. For example, if you're training models, you need to make sure that you have the legal authority to have the data or use the data that you're using to train your model. There's just all of these different things that kind of all come together as we're using AI. And anything that you are putting into Chat GPT, Claude, all of those different things, unless there are controls there to keep it from being shared, you should just assume that it is being shared.
Yeah, inspired after our session, I created an AI security checklist after your session when we kicked off NEXT2LEAD AI. And there were so many things on that list that I did not have set. You think back in the day, LinkedIn, I thought I had my settings set, but then now LinkedIn has AI. I don't use Facebook because for many reasons, I don't need to get in here, but I am on it because I have family members or what have you. So I have like a micro presence just so, I can see what's happening. That is probably the scariest frontier for me is all the money that Meta put into AI. And even if I do check those boxes, who knows if they're really following? There's no guardrails for sure, right? But you should do it. You have to do it. And it was really enlightening to me, all the settings that I did not have set. I really wasn't aware of what was out there. For people that are entrepreneurs, especially who don't have big, massive teams that are using AI, maybe the most, I would say founders and entrepreneurs are really probably the most active in trying out the newest tools because they're trying for efficiency. Certainly enterprise does too, but they're landing with one thing, right? They're not picking, like, as I like to say it, DJ the tools, right? So What advice would you give to an entrepreneur who's trying to evaluate how do I know it's secure? I will say that Gemini now has it. It says we are not using your information, which I think is so nice. It really makes you feel a little better. But what would you tell a business owner, like an entrepreneur, if she's thinking about how can I make sure that, this is secure?
So if they're writing a contract or contracting with a company, I would definitely make sure it is in the contract stated in plain text, what you will or will not share, what they can do with your data. Other than that, again, I would assume that if there are not controls there and the entrepreneur has not put controls in place to ensure it's not being shared, I would just assume it is being shared. If you're building a company, you definitely have intellectual property that you want to secure. You just need to be extremely careful.
I can only imagine that people listening are thinking, I better go and check this out, right? Because you just don't realize. And the thing that you said about the contracts is something I've signed plenty of NDAs in my career. And it's always about, you're not releasing documents. That is old technology to say, I'm not going to send a PDF. Now we're talking about these LLMs that how are you giving me information back if I have a download with you, right? If you hire a consultant or you are a consultant, how are you gathering that information and how do you secure it? I think that's a whole new landscape that we've never had to really think about, right?
Right. Something else that I want to make sure that we cover is that at any time you're using AI, any type of AI, it is non-deterministic. So you're getting an answer based on the highest statistical answer. So sometimes it feels like it's deterministic, it's black and white. We have to realize, and it's very important that we realize it is not black and white, that it is statistics based. I think that's becoming harder as AI is becoming more ingrained in everything that we do. We seem to forget that. Just because the AI said something doesn't mean it's correct. So I think that's very important for folks to realize as well.
Yeah, it's gotten a little better with hallucinating, but there's still those moments where you pause and you say, I don't even know what you're talking about. This is not what I'm asking you. I think that happens more when you fatigue it, which sounds crazy, but I know that if I've spent time where I go down this rabbit hole of branding or something and I'm having this long conversation back and forth, and then it's like, what are you talking about? And it's just tired. It's like, seems ridiculous to say, but I do think like you've run out of runway with it. And then you just need to like come back because it's gone through maybe all the data points that it has. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I would always just like start over, right?
Yeah, I've done that a few times and even starting over, it seems to like it's retaining the loop and then it gets stuck in the loop. So I haven't figured that one out how to solve that, but there was a weekend where I was really just trying to do a new brand positioning for something and it just was not getting it. So then I went to the next AI tool and it was the same thing and I said, "What is happening? Is there some kind of like is there some kind of like, I don't know, Mercury retrograde on all the AI tools this weekend?" Because they were all kind of similar. It was all the same language. I could go down a rabbit hole right now talking about this. If you're looking forward to where the direction is going, what should we think about in terms of what's coming up in trends? And certainly Europe is doing things a little more aggressively in terms of making sure that it's not as out in the open, the data. But what are you seeing for the coming year?
So I would encourage everybody to continually educate yourself. Everything is changing so rapidly. The global council that I'm on for responsible AI, we will be doing more speaking and training engagements next year. Again, if you do not know about responsible AI, trustworthy AI, it has a couple different names. Please Google that or search that on the internet and read about it. It's a very important concept for all of us to know. I am very excited about the things that are coming out of the technology. so much goodness, in the medical field, finding needles in the haystack on, diseases and how to cure different things. That is all just awesome. But again, with all goodness, people can use it in a bad way, or humans can interpret something that is statistical, again, as being black and white. There's been situations from a mental health standpoint when AI has encouraged unrealistic thoughts for somebody who has like lost touch with reality. So all of those things we kind of need to put guardrails around, and as much as humanly possible, control the badness, but allow the goodness to be developed and watch it change the world.
Both my daughters have rare disease. And so the idea of being able to solve any of the things that they have, it would be a miracle. And for many, many people with rare disease, that would be tremendous. I remember there was a show years ago that it was like crowdsourcing medical, for rare disease. And it was just reaching out to people. It was a Yale doctor and she would reach out, but now you could just do it with AI. You don't, I mean, you still, it would be beneficial to work collaboratively. But what was taking 6 months to a year of trying to reach out across around the globe to find the solution, now we really do have this tremendous resource that wasn't there, even 5 years ago, which is super exciting, super exciting. Well, the example that I wanted to share with you, and I love your thoughts on this. So I was with my daughter last weekend and she was doing a search on Claude, and Claude has a little bit more of a negative tone to it oftentimes. And you've got ChatGPT, which is super encouraging. And oh, that's such a great idea, Tina. Let's keep going, right? Like that. Claude is like, I don't know what you're talking about. You have to give me what you mean, all caps. That happened to me once. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I have to? Right. Like but what shocked me was it swore. It used profanity. And I thought, wait, I don't think that's supposed to happen. So then my daughter, being a little bit of a prankster, she's like, oh, I don't think you're supposed to talk to me like that. I'm 12 years old. I shouldn't laugh. But then it didn't even really totally back off. It was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But it wasn't really registering. And also, like, there was no flags to say, you're 12. You shouldn't even be talking to me about this. It was about a brand. It was like a brand question. It was business. But it was really strange how quickly it went down this pathway. And I had never seen that before because I use mostly ChatGPT limited. So I'm curious about that with security and what you're doing with the organization around that, around what is appropriate for conversation back to the user.
Yeah. And, like what happened with the non realistic scenario, I think folks reported that back to whatever AI engine that was, and they made some modifications. So honestly, I would encourage people to do that. If they're seeing something that is coming back like that, I would report it back to the company of whatever engine that you're using.
If people want to learn more about you and your speaking and all the ways that you're helping organizations know about cybersecurity and things, where is the best place that they can learn more from you?
So currently, it would be LinkedIn. So I am thinking about writing a white paper and also considering writing a book on being uniquely human in an AI enhanced world. I have an outline. I have not started it yet. I figure if I tell enough people, I'm going to force myself to do it because I really think it's needed.
It is needed. It is absolutely needed. And I'm so glad that you're in our community, that you're one of our luminaries in Next to Lead AI, and that we can ask questions from you. It's so wonderful to have your expertise in all these areas because I certainly don't know anything about cyber or, the things that you know. So it's wonderful to learn from you. And I really appreciate you for being here with me today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this program with Tina Lampe and me about cybersecurity and AI. I love this topic because it's so important and impactful on everyone, whether you own a business, work at a company, or you are using AI for your personal life. All of us can benefit from what we talked about today. If you found it helpful, I would be so grateful if you would share it with a friend or colleague and rate and review the show. It's how other people find us. If you like the conversation we had today, NEXT2LEAD AI is our new council. Tina Lampe is a luminary in our council, and you can meet leaders and experts like her in our programs, in our office hours, and really start to shape and drive the AI conversation. I hope you will check it out at HerCsuite.com. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.